first sight when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine. 2 days passed before I made that call. I was hoping for the best, but I was ready to fall. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been, where you're going. It just matters that you're here right now thinking of yourself as a Middle American. Now, we try not to pay attention to the 20% of the crazies on the left because they're crazy. And we try not to pay attention to the 20% of the crazies on the right because they are also crazy. I don't know what the ultimate goal is of the 20% that are crazy on the left or what the goals are of the 20% on the right. But we have a job to do because we as Middle Americans are 60% of the population. And we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I know that not everybody's doing okay, right? But the vast majority of Americans, compared to where we were 100 years ago, are leaps and bounds better than our grandparents. So we're going to talk about that today. And who are you in the big scheme of things? Because I want to talk about what the United States was and the people that started the United States of America. And not specifically, hey, George Washington's got a movie out, or Thomas Jefferson's got a movie, or Hamilton's got a play. Not that kind of thing. I'm talking about in general terms. And then I want to talk about you, and then I want to talk about the United States of America. So let's go ahead and get into the show. Let's go do this. So, all righty. We, the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States to our posterity. Oh, to our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States. There you go. That's a good one. Population. You 209 45 50. There we go. That's we're only $39 trillion in debt. Man, I wonder, do they have a total down here? Do they have a total debt of the world? I wonder what that is. So we don't have a total. One of these days we should total all that up, shouldn't we? But the world is in a lot of debt. And let's do this first. So, I just got off the golf course. This episode is brought to you by Cypress Creek Golf Course. It is probably the best track in Central Arkansas. It is absolutely amazing. Ricky Self is the director of golf there, and he has got that course prima-licious. There is absolutely no way to say other than Ricky Self is a genius. Janet runs the pro shop and the HR department, and she is an absolutely amazing person as well. They got a tremendous staff there. If you have not gotten out to Cypress Creek and you play golf, go out to Cypress Creek. It is absolutely a phenomenal course, and it is a great layout, great track, and is in great shape right now. So, for those of you who do not know, I'm going to tell you a really quick story. I used to play golf with my wife. She passed away, and then I stopped playing golf for about 6 years. Came back to golf last year, and I played a couple of rounds, but I didn't really do any good. And then I started getting into it earlier because a friend of mine said, "Hey, come play with the Senior Amateur Tour." And I was like, "Hey, dude, I suck." But anyway, I started playing. And then I realized how bad I sucked. And then they told me how bad I sucked. And then they were like, "Hey, we're gonna take you and we're gonna put you in the lower flight so that you can be more competitive." But I've been working hard on my golf game for the last 2 months, and it is paying off because I went out on Sunday. On Sunday, we went up and we played Cooper's Hawk up in Melbourne, Arkansas. I didn't even know there was a Melbourne, Arkansas. And this is what happened. I won D flight with a score of 86. Now, everybody goes, 86? That's not that good. Hey, listen, we were all competitive. We had a great time. But big thanks to Vic at the Senior Amateur Tour, and everybody puts that on because that was absolutely fantastic. And here is a picture of me and the trophy and the little gift card that I got that covered my expenses and stuff like that. So that was absolutely fantastic. Had a great time up at Cooper's Hawk. So thanks a lot for all of the support from everybody. Steve Hayes, Steve Hayes, you would not believe what I shot today. All right, here you go. Yeah, buddy. Whites. There you go. So I hope everybody's doing okay. Logan Calcaterra, welcome to the big show. Steve Hayes, welcome to the big show, and everybody else that is watching. All right, so let's talk about us. Let's talk about us. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about being in the United States of America and being a middle American. Now, middle American does not mean that you're not a little left and you're not a little right. It doesn't mean that you are middle class. It just means that you are a middle class, or it just means that you're a middle American and you are in the middle on most things, and you just want to have a good life. The problem with that is they're trying to force you into a corner. They're like, if you don't believe these things, you're a bad person. The other side is like, if you don't believe these things, you're a bad person. Listen, we're all just trying to get along. Can't we all just get along? I just, you know, it would be so easy if we can agree on a few basic principles to make the world a great place. But you know what the problem with that is? There are a lot of narcissistic control freaks out there, and they're in our government, and they are the Karens of the world, and they think that they know better than you, and they want to go get elected. So they're implementing laws in California, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, where there's no voter ID, there's no voter rolls, you can harvest ballots, you can do all this. The problem with the bad people in the world is they're our fault. They're our fault. And when you think about it being our fault, what are you doing to make the world a better place for the rest of the middle Americans that are out there? You remember the population clock that we had? You remember that? Because I'm gonna go back to that for just a second. Sorry. So I'm gonna go back to that. So right now in the United States of America, we have 50 million people roughly. There's 350 million people in the United States of America. You can see it right there. So of those, if you take 20% out of the one side, which is going to be about 60 million, and you take 60 million out of the other side, that's roughly going to leave somewhere about 280,000 or 280 million people in the United States of America. 280 million people, not take out the kids. We got about 150 million of us that are in the middle. It's our responsibility to take care of not only our families, but not only our neighborhoods, but of our cities, our states, and our federal government. But we have to have some stones. We have to be able to stand up and actively engage our politicians to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So I often say that the cabinet mayor, Ken Kincaid, is doing a great job. And I know he's doing a great job. And I know the city council is doing a great job because I monitor what they're doing. And when they're not doing a good job, I go and find them and I go, hey, mayor, you're not doing a good job. Or, hey, city council, you're not doing a good job. Or, hey, I need this policy. Or, I endorse this policy. Everybody on the city council knows me. Everybody in the Chamber of Commerce knows me. Do they know you? It's not hard. All you have to do is show up at the city council meeting and just walk up to the microphone when it's time to speak and go, hey, how you doing? My name is, in my case, my name is John Spillane. I live in Cabot, Arkansas. And I just want to let you know that I'm going to be attending these meetings and I'm going to have a lot of questions and I'm going to try to have my voice heard. And I greatly appreciate your service. Some of them are going to listen to you. Some of them are not going to listen to you. If they don't listen to you and they're not living by the code, and I'm going to get to the code in just a minute. If they don't live up to the code, then you need to do everything you can and the power that you can to muster to get rid of them. If we get rid of all of the bad politicians, we can have an unbelievably great country. Everybody can be heard. Everybody go out there and live their best middle American life. It would be glorious. For example, all of the AI centers that are going in. What a freaking mess. I don't know whether I've talked about the AI situation, but here's what happened. All of the millionaires and billionaires have way too much money. They've got way too much money that's just sitting in the bank. So when AI comes up and they see an opportunity to build data centers in order to get on the AI revolution, when they get on the AI revolution, they're taking their money, capital investment, and they're dumping it into these great big huge facilities. Do you want to know why they're doing that? Do you want to know why? Because they can't lose. They cannot lose. Let's say that 50% of the data centers in the United States of America are going to fail. They're not going to. The people take their money, they dump it into these businesses. If the business succeeds, they make a ton of money through the AI revolution and what's going to be going on for the next hundreds of years. If they lose their money, that's tax write-offs. They take a portion of their money, they dump it into these stocks and into commercial things, and when they lose, that's a tax write-off. That's where all the tax write-offs come from. That's why we got to close the loopholes. We got to go, hey, look here. We understand that you've got this money, but also it comes with a responsibility to act responsibly in there. That means that your city council, your state, your judges, the people that are making decisions need to hear from you about what to do about these data centers. Now, somebody said that they're dangerous and they're toxic and they pollute the water. I don't know whether they do that or not. But from what they say, all indications are. But like global warming, we don't want to overreact to that because global warming turned out to be total bullshit. So are these things really toxic, or is this a great big huge red flag that somebody's throwing up to stop capitalism or to stop AI? Is what you hear on TikTok or the internet or from ChatGPT true? I don't know anymore. I'm telling you right now, I don't know. But I know how a computer works, and I know that a computer has to stay cool and that they got to pump the water out of the ground or get it out of a pond, and then they got to heat it up, and then they got to dump it back into the environment. Sometimes they dump it into the environment before it's cool. And when you change the temperature of water in the ecosystem, it affects the wildlife that's in that ecosystem. So if they're going to be dumping billions of gallons of hot water into our waterways, all of the waterways east of the Rocky Mountains flow into the Mississippi River. What's it going to do to the Missouri? What's it going to do to the Arkansas? What's it going to do to the Ohio River? What's it going to do to all of these rivers that are tributaries? They're contributing to, that's why they're called tributaries. Is that why it's, oh my gosh, is that why they're called tributaries? Because they're contributing? Holy smokes. Somebody fact check that. So, hey, Carolyn Greg Ledger, how you doing? Oh, sorry, Carolyn Greg's Dooley. Welcome to the big show, right? So, we need to get proper authorities to check into these things. So that means that somebody's going to have to spend money in the government in order to research whether these things are good, bad, or indifferent, and that needs to be accelerated at the highest pace. So, have you talked to your local politicians, your state politicians, and the government, the federal politicians, to find out if they're going to fund studies and get this done within the next year? Because they can study this stuff within a year. There are data centers that are out there right now that are talking about the models, but you and I, we're not smart enough to know right now. But that's a function of government. Right? The Environmental Protection Agency. Every state has an Environmental Protection Agency. So what are you doing there? And what about the people that are up there? See how you relate directly to data centers and global warming and the economic systems of America. Because if you have the conversations as a middle American trying to do the right thing, not prejudging, not saying, hey, I saw on TikTok that data centers were bad. Well, who said that? Well, the Sierra Club. Well, of course, because they want to save every tree. They don't want any bird or animal or mammal or anything on 4 legs or 2 legs to ever get hurt. They stump trees, right? So all of the environmental wackos that are out there, right? So let's not listen to them. Those are the 20% of the crazies that I'm talking about on the left. When I say 20% of the crazies, that's a great example. Everybody that's against data centers, they have not done the research. They're making assumptions. They're saying they heat the water. They're saying, hey, my best guess is that they do this. So if you're reacting to what they say, that's probably not correct. But all of the millionaires and billionaires that are sinking money into this, and they're saying that it's perfectly safe and it's going to be good for the economy, it's probably not going to be good for the economy, probably going to be really, really good for them. You got to remember, these things are being automated to the point where they don't need people in them, right? So people are just going to run the large systems. You know, Booker, the maintenance man on the Jeffersons, was it Jeffersons? I don't know. Whatever Booker was on, he was the maintenance man inside of the building. The reason that I bring him up is because that's what data center needs. Data centers, hardware and software, need to be fixed by maintenance personnel because pretty soon they're going to be writing their own code. They're going to be self-correcting machines. They're going to have this great big huge data center thing, and people are just going to have to fix pipe and replace boxes. So we can't believe them either. It's going to be good for the economy. Good for whose economy? Because you're putting a data center here, but all of the money's going to New York. All of the money's going to Taiwan. All the money's going to California. All the money's going to Florida, wherever these people are hanging out. So what good does the local economy have other than the fact that these guys are processing data centers, but they don't have any sales in state? They don't have any sales in state. So all of the money generated in sales is not generated in the state because AI data centers are passed through information portals. It's like a server. So this right here is a little computer box. This can be an AI terminal. This can have billions of bytes of computer data on it and it's a pass-through box. Nobody's paying for it. They're paying other companies out of state in order to do it. So it's not going to be an economic boon for the people that have these data centers. It's not going to employ anybody. It may be good for the world economy, but it's probably not going to be good for a local economy. And we can't be sure that it's going to be hazardous. So we don't know. That's why we need you to be a good human being and do the things that hold your government accountable. Why do I say this? Why do I say this? I say this because back in the day, Constitution of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, which is right here. See that? That's cute. Declaration of Independence, right? Those people were only trying to hold the government accountable for the government's actions. That's all that they were trying to do. They were like, hey, King George, don't tax us so much. Hey, King George, stop housing troops in our houses. Hey, King George, we want to be able to have fair government trials. Hey, King George, we want to be able to say whatever we want to say. Hey, King George, we want to be able to have freedom of the press. Hey, King George, we want to be able to assemble. The Declaration of Independence, which I have right here, is a list of grievances. It's a list of grievances that they tried to have addressed over at King George, but the middle Americans, the upper crust Americans, had had enough. The normal, common, working person had also had enough. So middle Americans had also had enough, but they didn't have any pull with King George. So eventually, some of the elites got together. They had businesses. There were silversmiths. They were all business. They were all business people and working people. Some of them were politicians. They all got together and they said, this is what they said. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impelled them to separate. We asked you to be nice, and you couldn't be nice, so now we've got to go. That's what the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence says. Common, everyday people that were business owners, yeah, they were kind of upper crusty, right? But they weren't all that in a bag of chips. They weren't the richest people. They weren't the richest people, but they were philosophers. They were great people. They had high ideals. They know what they wanted for middle America, and they stepped up to go do the job. And that's what I'm talking about, what we have to do and what you have to do. This show is about you. This show is about what can you do as a middle American to make our life better. I used AI only as one example. But nobody cares about global warming anymore. What the hell happened to global warming? Did all of a sudden it just become not important enough? No. You know what happened? The environmental people that were touting the global warming agenda, they couldn't make any more money off of it, so they moved on to the next thing. All of the people that were in politics that had feathered their nest with all of the AI bullshit, they were like, hey, I'm not getting any traction out of that anymore, so I'm going to stop talking about global warming. Did the ice caps melt? No. Did the sea rise level rise as fast as they wanted to? No. Did all of the crops fail and half of the people on Earth die? No. Did all the polar bears die? No. All of the stuff about global warming, the clean energy stuff, when all of the windmills failed, and windmills, hey, believe me, man, I get the whole windmill thing. I think that they're ugly, and I think that they make too much noise, but the simple fact of the matter is, under certain circumstances, those things work. But to change our entire economy to solar and wind was foolish. It was foolhardy. And people made a lot of money in that. It's one of the things that generated great amounts of revenue for China and India and the United States. is all the people that got into the solar panels and the wind making. But it wasn't as bad as they said. The International Panel for Climate Change just came out and said, wow, we grossly overestimated how bad it was going to be. Now, they still said we have concerns, but they did change the report that said this is going to be catastrophic to, hey, we need to think about all of the carbon that we're putting in the air because we're just we think that we're going in the wrong direction. And as far as they're saying, that's how you hold people accountable. You keep questioning until the answer comes back. Hey, they've toned down their language and they're not panicking anymore because that's what middle Americans do. We got to hold all of the people that are in all the games responsible for that. Like right now, we've got the whole Iran thing going. We got to hold our politicians accountable. Trump said that this is not going to be a forever war. And he keeps saying, we've won, they've surrendered, we got everything that we want, but we still have ships in the Gulf. Okay, dude, you're on the clock as far as I'm concerned. You said this wasn't going to be a forever war. We bombed them back in the Stone Age. We sank their entire Navy. We blew up their entire Air Force. They still have a ground force. We're not going to commit troops in there. But now I think it's time to go. So let's get her done. But now we have to hold our politicians accountable. And hopefully that thing will be wrapped up soon. So next on the list. All right. What kind of principles are we talking about here? Hi, Don Ledger. How you doing? Glad to see you're here tonight. So we're talking about what kind of rules do you need to live by? Well, I have always believed that everything starts with respect. Now, in the United States Air Force, 3 core values were integrity first, excellence in all you do, and service before self. Wait a minute. Was that the 3? I think so. Right? But I always said that you need to start with respect. You need to have respect for yourself. You need to have respect for the situation. You need to have respect for family, God, your country, the community, your neighbors. You need to be respect yourself. You need to respect the situations. So you need to go into everything with respect. That's the first thing. Live respectfully. Number 2, you need to have integrity. And when I talk about integrity, I'm talking about live like you would expect a good person to live. Don't lie, cheat, steal. Don't break any laws unless you absolutely have to, right? Hey, no swimming in the lake. There's a law that says no swimming in the lake. Hey, a baby fell off of a boat and is drowning. Break the law, swim in the lake, save the baby. See how don't break a law unless you have to break a law works? So that's not the integrity I'm talking about. The integrity I'm talking about is in your soul, doing the right thing despite the circumstances and even when nobody's looking. So it starts with respect, but integrity is right there, and that is what makes people good people. Don't lie, cheat, and steal. Don't have hidden agendas. Don't be dramatic. Don't dramatize situations, and don't spread rumors and gossip. Rumors and gossip, like the AI thing, like the data centers. I believe that all of the stuff that the left is making up about data centers could be true, but hell, UFOs could be true. Global warming could be true. There's a whole bunch of things about could be true, right? But we need to hold everybody to account, if you know what I mean. So the last thing is, how do you want the world to see you? How do you want the world to see you? Do you want to be seen as somebody that's extreme? Do you want to be a radical? Do you want to be reasonable? Do you want to alienate half of the people that are in the country? Do you want to work with other people? Do you want to dig your heels in so hard that compromise is not possible? These are very simple questions to ask. What kind of a person do you want to be? I try to be as reasonable as I possibly can. Let's take the trans situation. Right. I believe that people believe that they can be born in the wrong body. Now, I don't personally believe that myself because I believe that the body and the soul and the mind in which you are given is the space that you have to figure things out. You don't need to wear makeup. You don't need to get tattoos. You don't need to put spikes in. You don't need to have crazy hair. You just need to go through life. Now, I understand that the world perceives people differently, so people trim beards. I tried a beard. I tried long hair. I tried a ponytail. Didn't work for me. And then one of the reasons it didn't work for me is because I didn't want the world to see me that way. I wanted the world to see me as a person that held other people in high regard, that respected other people, that was honest, had integrity, lived my life to the highest ideals. And I was like, all right, what does that look like? I barely wear t-shirts. When I'm working in the yard, I wear a t-shirt. But other than that, I have a collar on. I have nice shorts that are not torn up all the time. I usually walk around in grungy shoes, but that's because I do a lot of stuff and I do a lot of walking. But I'm willing to accept the shoes situation myself because I'm going to be wearing a collar. I'm going to have my hair relatively military style because I think it looks best on me. But you can choose to present yourself to the world in any way that you want to. When I do this show, I try to treat you with respect. I try not to be disrespectful of any situation. I try to curb my language that will be most unoffensive to all people because I'm not here to make enemies. I'm here to build a better world. And the only way that we can make the world better for middle Americans is by treating each other with respect, having integrity in all of the things that we do, acting with good character, and trying to lift up all of those around us while being strong to know right from wrong and be willing to stand up for the weak, the disadvantaged, and to be able to tell bullies and to tell tyrants, no, that is inappropriate. We can't do that. I will not be weak because kindness is not weakness. And if I have to, we will take it to the next level and to the next level to the next level until an untenable situation is resolved. So be strong out there. Be a strong middle American. Be an advocate for greatness. Aspire to awesome things. Aspire to live a life worth living. And with that, Middle America is out, man. Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. I'm just glad that you're here with me being a Middle American. Now, I want to say thank you so much for your time, your attention, for just about everything. Thanks a lot for giving me a platform on Wednesday night. Like, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe if you have the option to do that. We're going to be coming in with some guests in the coming weeks. If you would like to be a guest on the show, I can send you a link and then we can just go ahead and talk casually wherever you are. I'll send you a link. All you have to have is a camera and a good microphone. We'll test it out a few times with a few people. We'll see whether that's a format that everybody likes. But anyway, you guys be good. I love you. Take care. See you next time. Peace.